In this first episode of my Chinese web shopping adventures, I'll go through my first batch of mostly hobby-related stuff that I ordered from Temu, which I'll be using for future projects. I'm gonna unpack everything and organize it neatly. Then we'll take a look at what I got, what it cost, and what it's for. It's barely spring, but I'm preparing for next winter with this face mask. It's gonna be awesome while walking my dog in blizzards. These things I'll try to make some conveyor belts out of, using small DC engines and timing belts. My plan is to create an electrical guillotine, if the engines are powerful enough to lift up a blade. I already have another larger Temu order in place, where the actual belt is and some more powerful engines. A little bench clamp that can come in handy, should I ever need to clamp something to my table. I mostly bought it because it was cute and cheap. I'll put it aside, then we take a closer look at it later. These little brown skulls I'll be using for a poison bottle project. It's probably going to be all kinds of awesome. Drill bit limiting rings for when you need to drill holes of a certain depth. These things are smart to have laying around. I'll try them out later in the video. I use these small black screws for lots of stuff, like driftwood shelves and other things you want nice screws for. LED lights for my poison bottle project. These things are not rechargeable, and each one uses 3 batteries. Five rechargeable lights. I probably bought way more lights than I actually need. Two types of decorative rope that's also for my poison project. They can also be used for other crafts and creations where a little bit of rope will make a nice touch. I bought this one for fun. Larger than I thought though. I'll see if it melts if I use the blowtorch on it later in the video. This spinning top will keep me entertained for centuries to come. It's actually very good quality for that price, and it spins for a long time. Three pieces of hand carving tools for small items. We'll take a closer look at this later. Vintage bottle stickers for my poison bottle project. We'll look closer at them too later. Decorative leather band I'll probably find use for further down the road. Cheap circular saw blades for Dremels and other similar rotary tools. I'll give them a quick try in a few minutes. $210mm steel balls in case I ever buy or make a slingshot. Maybe I can use them for other projects too. Two bags of rubber bands in two different sizes, small and large. Useful for a lot of stuff. A bunch of plastic gears I thought would fit on the DC engines I ordered too, but only a few did. I'll see if I can find a use for them anyways. Small engines to play around with for various projects. They are powered by batteries or other power sources up to 6 volt. I'll give them a try when I'm done going through all items. $56 pieces of sandpaper and grits from 60 and up to 2,000 in case I ever run out of toilet paper. I can't even remember putting this in my shopping cart. Might have added it by mistake. I'll try to find some use for it though. Maybe it can be used to light up a flask with colored water, making a cool lamp. I bought this to cut bottles so I can make some glasses and stuff out of my empty booze bottles. I'll try it in a bit. Battery boxes in various sizes for powering the DC engines. I can get outputs from 1.5 volt to 9 volt with these. A little generator powered by a crank. I bought this to see how it works so I can make something similar. This one I'll make an own video out of. A remote-controlled elevator that I also bought to study the mechanism. I might use this concept for my guillotine. This one I'll also make an own video out of. That was that for this order. Now let's take a closer look at the stuff I put aside for later. First closer look is the DC engines. I'm just going to play around with them a bit before moving on to the next item. I'm having a bit problems getting the battery attached. We have ignition. I'm overpowering it with a 9 volt battery though. This is a 1.5 volt battery. The engine is not having seizures now. This 4-slot box gives a total of 6 volt, which supposedly is the max limit for these small engines. I made a little propeller for the engine to see how fast it goes, and a mount on a wooden block to keep it in place. This needs some gluing and a rubber band. Now it's running on a single 1.5 volt battery. Adding some extra load. Not bad. Now for some extra juice. It's now running at max speed and it's starting to smell weird here. The engine died of overdose while running on 15 volt. The dead engine is very hot now, so is the 9 volt battery. And this concludes the look at the DC engines. Let's also take a quick look at the little table clamp. It does feel a bit lightweight and cheap, but it seems to do its job quite well actually. For $3.60, it's a bargain. I'll just see if anything happens if I heat up this spoon. It does feel very light and cheap. This seems to be as hot as it gets, and nothing exciting is happening besides it turning red. At least it looks more like a real used shovel now. The hand carving tool set I paid $2.80 for. It does carve this stick nicely without having to apply much pressure. The focus got messed up on this last one, so we'll just quickly move on from that. But it worked nicely for making little ditches and carvings in the wood. Not the sharpest tool in the shed out of the box, but it does the job. When buying new chisels and similar tools like this, you should, however, sharpen them by hand, as the factory machine sharpening isn't as effective. Google, YouTube, or ChatGPT this for more information. This was a nice little set that will come in handy when I resume my woodworking projects, as I only have a couple of large chisels now. Now I'll try one of the saw blades for the rotary tools. It's 10 blades in 3 different sizes. I'll use a 25mm blade for this test. They seem good enough for cutting plastic pipes and thin pieces of wood. Probably good for fine cutting stuff as well, and $1.4 for 10 blades didn't exactly break the bank. That's it for the saw blades. Moving on to the next item. Now for the drill bit limiting rings. These things are for setting a certain hole depth, useful for a variety of scenarios. This set contains 7 rings ranging from 3 to 12mm. The tricky part is to get it attached leveled, so that might take some tries before nailing it. This is a good angle. Now the entire ring will touch the wood when I'm at the desired depth.
Det är som brödstopp idag.
Perfect. This is how the ring acts if you don't get it attached leveled. That's it for the drill bit limiting rings. Now let's take a look at the potion bottle stickers. A whole bunch of stickers meant to slap on decorative bottles and stuff like that to make it look like potions. A lot of crap here, but many will do fine for my poison bottle project. I reckon I'll be cutting away the white outer parts, then rub some dark motor oil on the bottles and stickers to make them look old. That Black Death potion sticker is my favorite so far. And that's it for the stickers. I bought this $6 bottle cutter because I wanted to try bottle cutting, something I have never done before or have done any research on how to do it properly. I probably did all possible mistakes, so once I have assembled the actual cutter, we'll take a look at how not to cut a bottle. So this is what it looks like when assembled. It does feel quite cheap, and the plastic part moves if I'm not very gentle with it. Let the mistakes begin. I guess the shitty instructions saying only go round on meant only go round once. First, I'm applying too little pressure so it doesn't make a mark. Then I'm applying too much and go round and round thinking a deeper cut will be better. The correct way is to apply just enough pressure to make the mark all the way around the bottle and have the line meet up where it started, forming a perfect circle. This I learned on YouTube after I'd spent all my bottles and glasses on failed attempts. Let's make more mistakes. Now I just put the whole top of the bottle in boiling water before submerging the whole bottle in cold water. Oh Lord. There we go, my first cut bottle. It's quite beautiful even though it's a tad flawed. Next bottle. It's quite hard getting a straight score on this cheap cutter, but it might just be me applying too much pressure, making the parts move. Round and round we go to compensate for the uneven score line. Now I have one big instead. I'll use my favorite toy when trying to separate the top on this bottle. The mistakes I'm making here are overheating it and heating a broader area than I should. The sudden thermal shock from when I put it under water can also cause the bottle to crack at any weak point, which might not even be the score line. As we can see here, the bottle separated above the score line. So the stress point of this bottle was just under the neck, which is common due to the manufacturing process of the bottles. Trying with some jars now. Same result. Can't get a straight line. Trying some burning rope too, but the mistake here was probably using too thick rope and maybe not letting it burn long enough. This is supposedly a crappy method though that doesn't give perfect cuts, so won't be experimenting more with that. I did eventually manage to cut them, although these two ended up a bit flawed. Got my hands on more bottles, and I made my own bottle cutter of some found material and the tip of a cheap glass cutter. Now I'm getting perfect cuts every time. So it turns out it's the plastic cutter that is pure and utterly crap because the plastic parts move around when you apply pressure to the bottle, which you have to do in order to make the score line. This part of the video has already dragged out longer than it should, so I'll end it here. I have ordered another bottle cutter from Temu that's made of steel or something and cost 4 times more, which I'll compare this crappy plastic one with. I'll make an own glass bottle cutting video later when I have mastered this craft, even though there are 1 million on YouTube already. But I'll however go into details on common mistakes, what the various processes actually does, how and why the glass reacts, how to separate the bottles perfectly so that they don't require much afterwork, how to sand it smoothly, and so on. I'll also improve my homemade bottle cutter in that video, as this simple prototype turned out great. I have another order of 40 items on the way from Temu, so be sure to subscribe if you want to see what that one contains too. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching.